Hi, this is my first video, so I guess I'm now officially a member of booktube. This month I read Persuasion, and that was the first book of 2015. There were an abundance of awesome quotes, really wonderful, and has actually changed my TBR for this year. And it's a conversation between two characters, Captain Harwell and Anne Elliot, the protagonist of the story. And they're talking about the inconstancy of women. Men have had every advantage of us in telling their own story. I will not allow books to prove anything. Yeah, I was thinking of reading certain books, and then I read that, and I thought, yeah, people who identify as women, people of color, LGBTQA plus people should be able to tell their own stories. And I saw a few days ago a really interesting video about genetic literary authenticity, question mark. And I also watched Miss Nancy's from Nancy's Reads on relatable characters, I think her video is called, and she spoke about how that type of point of view of always wanting relatable characters or having the privilege to mostly read relatable characters has to do not so much with racism but with blind spots created by my myopia. And that reminded me for some reason of this movie I saw a long time ago called The Official Story. And I thought about how sometimes you read and you digest the official story for so long that sometimes stories which are poorly researched and which contradict the truth and which are filtered down, kind of saccharine and artificial, those stories feel more relatable and more authentic. And we should talk about the film to give a little idea of why those thoughts came into my head. The Official Story, it's an Argentinian movie directed by Luis Puenzo, and I think he wrote it with somebody called Aida Bortnik, and the film is set in Argentina. It's Alicia is the main protagonist. She's a teacher. She's married to Roberto, her husband. He's a businessman. He deals with the government. And right from the beginning, there's something kind of suspect and shady that you feel something a little uncomfortable about the movie. And you realize that Alicia, she doesn't know how the adoption of her daughter Gabi came about. Only her husband Roberto knows how the process went, and that's really weird because if anybody knows even a little bit about how what a lengthy and tortuous process many adoptions are, and then for the mother not to know how the adoption went and where did Gabby come from. So the background of the film is the last military dictatorship where those who were accused of dissent in Argentina, or, you could be innocent of dissent, but if you were accused, you could be tortured and killed and join the many thousands and thousands of people who were tortured and killed and thrown into unmarked grave sites and become part of the desaparecidos, the disappeared. And when the film begins, Alicia is like most of those myopic cave dwellers who look at the shadows. Most of us look at the shadows and think that we're looking at reality when all we're looking at is shadows, and very distrustful of the voices from the margins and distance from their pain to the point where she's almost excruciatingly naive, especially next to her much younger teenage but much savvier students. And her bubble at first, it seems almost impenetrable. It's like a willful ignorance of what's happening all around her, in her country, in the government, in her family. But then her link to it is her daughter, and so she can't turn away because it's something that touches her very closely. And so that bubble becomes assailed by all these doubts and all these suspicions, and she begins to talk to other people and hear their stories, and she can't ignore them anymore. And I think that's what happens sometimes when we read books that are very uncomfortable, books that are very authentic. There's no, it's like, I don't want to talk too much about the novel The Help, but The Help kind of creates a space where you can feel comfortable in an uncomfortable space, like racism and the, the time of segregation and the Jim Crow laws and the kind of apartheid that was going on in the south of the United States not too long ago. That's not a comfortable space, but the help creates a narrative where you do feel kind of comfortable because you can relate to certain characters and you can boo and jeer the racist people and the baddies, and then feel triumphant and feel like you're part of the team with the anti-racist allies and with the other characters that are in the story. And so you can feel cathartic and a sense of, oh, look how far we have come, but I'm not sure if the help is actually helpful. Puns. Sorry. And so I think when we read different kinds of books that are more authentic, that, stories that get told by the people who are still going through the story, or who are descendants, but that are inheritors. What are words? That have inherited all those circumstances because, we have seen we don't live in a post-racial world yet, and perhaps we never will. But the moral of the story is Alicia, at first she was coolest, but she did open her eyes, and so should we. Yeah, maybe. I hope I don't sound too preachy. And I hope that people don't feel like I'm attacking them in any way. It's not about attack. We should try harder, but as I said, we should, cut ourselves a little slack and understand that the problem of racism is a process. Like, about getting to a place where you no longer contribute to that very deceitful official story, and maybe contribute to creating a real story, an authentic story that perhaps feels very uncomfortable, very alienating, very foreign, but yeah, maybe we can reach some kind of transcendence and a kind of paradigm shift. Yeah, transitions are difficult. They're always difficult, but we have to go through them if we are going to be part of the change that we want to see in the world. Okay, so yeah, I hope that some people comment on this. If you agree, if you disagree, that's fine. And happy and perhaps valuable reading. Bye.